our goal this weekend is to be sure that you have such a full, rich, vivid, incredible life that your box would be so small, so insignificant, because you would have lived, loved, gave, and experienced so much of life that you took advantage of every opportunity to grow, to expand, to challenge, to explore, that box would be so small you wouldn't even bother looking for it. How many of y'all are committed to living a life like that? Raise your hand and say, I'm committed. Look at your neighbor and say, I'm committed. Outstanding. All right, so you got your accountability buddy. So in order to do this, you and I, we have to then start shifting some of our belief systems. We've got to adopt 3 beliefs. For starters, just 3 beliefs. Can we all handle that? Okay, awesome. So the first belief you and I must totally embody is this belief that things must change. Things must change, not should. How many of y'all have said, you know what, I should probably change this. I should probably do something. Maybe I should invest. Maybe I should buy that property. Maybe I should invest in my program. Maybe I should go to the gym, right? And when we say we should do something, what are we really saying? We're not going to do it. Clarence, I should probably call you. And what have I just told you I'm not going to do? I am not going to call. I just should on you right there. Big pile of should. And it stinks. And it lingers. When I leave, I just should over there. And then he's like. So we have to adopt that things must change. We don't get our shoulds, we get our musts. So say it with me. Things must change. Louder. Things must change. Now, when it's a must, now all of a sudden there's energy. This isn't a should. We're not shoulding on ourselves. It's a must. Now it's getting real. It's a must. Now, this is a great start, right? Because, things must change. I've had it up to here. Not going to take it anymore. So things must change. But then maybe you've also noticed the importance of leadership is that just because things must change, we got to take some personal responsibility. So who must change them? I must change them. So belief number 1 is things must change. Say it with me. Things must change. Louder. Things must change. And I must change them. Say it. I must change them. Let's do it again. Come on. And I must change them. Now, this is getting good, right? And we're feeling the energy. We're like, okay, yeah, things must change. This is a must. This is not a should, man. It is happening. Right? Oh, well, wait a minute. I'm a leader, right? I must change them. I'm going to step up. I must change them. And then there's a little part of you. Maybe you've read Terry's book about it, and there's that little inner voice going, what the fuck are you thinking about? You could change it. We can't. What's good for the economy? I got no money. Right? So we got to add another on top of that. Is that I can change it. So the 3 beliefs. Number 1, say it with me. Things must change. Number 2, I must change them. And then number 3, I can change them. So stand up right now. Stand up and own it. So let's say it out loud together. Things must change. I must change it, and I can change it. Oh, we need a little more energy than that. Come on. Things must change. I must change them. I can change them. Make the sound of celebrating that decision right now. Feel it. Own it. Because until we get to that point where we say, that's it, no more, I must change it. I can change it because no longer am I going to settle. Things will not change. We'll just accept it. And then we'll find other people to buy some other BS story. Oh, it's the economy, it's the market, the kind of money. Oh, yeah. And then they go, yeah, I know, me too. And then they go, my peeps. They make it okay for me to not change. Misery loves, but so does success, so does happiness, so does joy, so does absolute love. This is what this room is full of. How many agree that this is a room full of love, full of respect, full of honor? It's a lot easier. Here's why we're doing this. Here's why this is important. We're going to go through this very intense process in a moment. Is that this room, it's easy. Because we're around like-minded people. Out there, not so much. There's still going to be, now, of course, we've got our inner circle. We've got the people we surround ourselves with. And there are a bunch of assholes out there, too. Just is. And it's not that they're bad people. They're just in bad states. They're just non-resourceful. They're just not where you are in growing and building yourselves, taking advantage of this opportunity of such a unique and powerful environment. Does that make sense? Awesome. Give a high five to one of your neighbors. Say, you rock and so do I. All right. Have a seat feeling strong. All right. So, in order for you and I to really transform every area of our life, would it be okay to share you? Now, there are 7 steps, 7 keys to creating like incredible lasting change and transformation. But because we have a short period of time, is it okay if we cover 3 consciously and the other 4 we sort of install and embed kind of, other than consciously? Do I have permission to speak to your other than conscious mind? Okay, I'm going to do it anyway, but it's nice, it helps when we've got your permission. So, in order for you and I to create this lasting change, this lasting transformation, we've got 3 steps. The first step for you and I to create lasting transformation is we've got to, now this is a word that we use a lot, but we're going to use it in a different way. We need to get leverage on ourselves. Now, what is leverage? Like if you were to define the word leverage, like what is leverage? Having a hold, yeah. Control. Would another word for that be maybe an unfair advantage? Now, in this term, like if we think about a lever, how does a lever work? So we've got, let's imagine we had a big boulder right here, a big giant boulder. And in order to move this big giant boulder, if you and I were to walk up to it and just try and push it, would we be able to move this giant boulder? No. But if we had a lever, which is essentially a nice big long stick, and then we take another small rock and we stick it down at the bottom, right? And then we take that stick, we point it down there, and the little end of the stick wedges in under the bottom of the boulder, and then the longer the stick, the more leverage we would have, and then we could just move that boulder pretty easily, right? Well, for you and I, when we're talking about intrapersonal leverage, what you and I have as intrapersonal, or our internal leverage, is pain. It's pain. Think about it. When you and I get to a certain point where we just can't take the pain anymore, that's when we do something about it. True or true? We get to a point where our brain goes, if our bank account drops to a certain point, there are some who feel extraordinary pain at very different numbers, right? Someone who has a lot of leverage, let's say if they have less than $1 million in their access, they're like, oh my gosh, I'm broke. And other people are like, that I don't feel that pain until $100. And that's going to determine what actions they take, what they're willing to tolerate. So what we need to then do is if you want lasting change, here's the challenge. See, our brains, we're wired for non-pain. Our pleasure sensors are outnumbered by our pain sensors by a ratio of 10 to 1. Now, some of us have essentially anesthetized ourselves with distractions of internet, shopping, food, porn, sex. There's all sorts of distractions that we have access to. One of the worst ones is drama. Can you believe what and this was on the news too? Oh my gosh, right? And now all of a sudden, I'm not worrying about all my other stuff. I'm distracting myself from the pain of what may be coming into my life to feel good about talking shit about somebody else. Excuse me, Ellie. Oh, there you go. Exactly. So, what you and I need to do, this is what's going to be counterintuitive through our experiences. This process that we're going to experience together, you're going to do the opposite of what we used to do with our relationship with pain. What we used to do is avoid it. The problem with that is, that's like when you've got one of those tumors. And you go, oh, no, I'm just going to ignore that. And what happens? It grows and it grows and it grows. Now, the difference is you can see that. The problem is you and I also sometimes have cancer of the mind. And it gets in the way. And we have to be willing to root it out and take a stand. But in order to do that, we've got to acknowledge its existence. So what we're going to do is we're going to get tons of leverage and bring up the bottom, so that your brain will go, that's it, no more, never again. Does that make sense? Excellent. So step one is get what? Leverage. Step two is we've got to interrupt the old limiting pattern. So that pattern is the pattern of thought that you and I have had. That conversation. Terry wrote a book about it. That chatter, that self-coaching, right? Our own bad advice. We've got to interrupt that pattern. So what's a pattern? If you think about a record, I'm going to date myself. Does anyone remember what, I'm looking around the room, I know I'm not the only one who knows what a record is. All right, it's a record, right? The vinyl record. Where is our, yeah. See, back in the day, there was these things, they were called records, and they were like these pieces of vinyl plastic, and we'd have to take a needle and put it on it, and it would spin. You know what a record is, right? So what happens? We've got this record, and I don't know about you. Did anyone have one of those audiophile relatives, like the uncle who had like the badass sound system, and every time he would take the record out, right? He'd take it out, and he'd be like, and put it down, right? Yeah, and then he had the red the red brush that he put down, a little spray, and right? And then you couldn't even take the needle yourself and put it on it. You had to use the lever, right? And then slide it over and carefully put it on. Right? Now, why did our crazy uncle insist that you handled that record so pristinely? Right, because of the pattern on the record. They were so careful about it, any little bit would destroy it. So if we took that record and then we threw it across the concrete floor and let it slide across the bottom, what would happen? Would it ever play the same? Yeah, you get a whooping. Right? But here's the thing. You and I, what happens is we've got that. Now, let's use another model. Let's use the DVD. And now, back in the day, there were these DVDs. We didn't stream it. It was, we had to actually put it in a device. And so that's how quickly things have changed. So imagine a DVD. So let's say you were, you had the biggest movie screen you could get. I think 85. It's bigger than 85 now, right? Well, projector, I guess, but something that looks really good. 900, 90, 120. Wow, it's big. So let's imagine you had that 120-inch monitor in your house and like the most incredible sound system ever. Like it had the subs. It was like 12.1. It was even in smell-o-vision. Like you had everything. And think of the worst movie you have ever seen. What's the worst movie you've ever seen? The one that makes you feel like crap. And you walk into your house, and that movie is playing on your 120-inch. It's blasting the sound. It's in the smell-o-vision and everything. And what would you do if you walked in and that crap movie that makes you feel horrible was on? What would you do? You'd shut it off. You'd shut it off. Why? How many of y'all would shut it off? You hate that movie. It makes you feel like crap. You're like, all right. But here's what you and I do. You and I have these movies in our mind that make us feel like crap. All these fears, all these past traumas, all these experiences that make us feel like crap. You play it in your own mind, and then you try to enroll other people into your story, and like, no, just change the channel. Like, no, you have no idea. Check out how effed up this is. And like, yeah, but you could just turn it off. Like, no, you don't understand. I got to turn it up. Now, obviously that's counterintuitive, and we don't have time today to unpack why we do that. But can we all agree we do stuff like that? So if you want to learn more about how to really understand why that happens, which isn't as important, do you need to know how to use why the remote works in order to use it? No. So right now, we don't need to know about all that. If you want to learn more, you just there's ways we could do that. Between Heidi, I, Terry, all of us, we have all of those tools and resources, and it can be helpful but not important right now. So we got to interrupt that pattern. So imagine if we took that record and we took a knife and we just scratched the hell out of it. Would that ever play again? What about a DVD? If we scratched the DVD, would that ever play again? No. So that's what we've got to do. We've got to interrupt the old limiting pattern. Then the third step is we have to now, because we've eliminated the old one, but nature abhors a vacuum. So we must install a new empowering pattern and then condition it until it becomes our new normal. We've got to condition it. It's got to be in our bodies and also in our soul, so it's a new record that plays automatically. Now, you've already learned this week how there's some varieties of ways to do it, through the hypnosis, through the condition, surrounding yourselves with people who hold you to a higher standard, right? Now they're not going to let you play that old record. That's a good friend. A good friend is when you're telling your BS story, and they're like, yeah, nice story, bro. And they help you reframe it, even though it sucks at the time. That's why, oh, by the way, that's why you hire coaches. So it's not your friend. There's no rapport challenge. You actually hire a coach or a mentor so they can tell you the things you don't want to hear, so you don't break rapport with your friends or family because they're too close anyway. Heidi and I have a no coaching rule. We only coach each other when asked. So do you want coaching, or do you just want to, vent, or not at all? Do you want an opinion? There you go. Solutions or sympathy. Good one. Look at you. Give him a hand. Very nice.